Welcome, Facebook and YouTube viewers, to the third episode of Sentai Writers United podcast. I am CJ. Tonight, I am hosting. The first person up to introduce is Thomas, also known as the Toku Buster.
Hello, everyone.
The next person in line is my good friend Volt.
Howdy, everybody.
And last but certainly not least, we have Dylan.
Hello.
All right, my wonderful people. So tonight we have a wonderful topic for you. But before we get to that, we're getting to our news. So the links will be posted below in the description. The first thing that I feel we should talk about is, once again, Kamen Rider Drive. We have officially seen the weapons and the additional types revealed in the newest picture that has come out of the toy catalog. Thomas, what are your takes on what we have seen so far?
From what I've seen, I actually think the ideas are kind of interesting. I like the idea of the shift cars and then using the brace to communicate with the driver via infrared, which seems like something pretty new to me. Like, yes, they've done, had two parts before, with the O's driver and the scanner, but at the same time, those are just reading trips. Chips, not really infrared. So it's a pretty interesting idea having that. And then Trideron is pretty cool, the car itself, which has been confirmed as Drive's car at this point, and the different types with type speed and then all the other different stuff. And the only thing I will say is a complaint, which I know you're going to mention, so I'm sorry I'm going to steal your thunder slightly, but we'll go into this a little bit more, is of that it kind of feels like, especially with the brace that they use to communicate with the driver, it seems very much reminiscent of a certain other brace that has come out recently. Oh, there it is. This thing. Yeah. Pretty darn reminiscent of the Toku changer. So it's kind of weird to me that they're kind of doing that, but that actually will lead into some more things that I'm thinking. But so far, I do think it is pretty interesting to have the different types and stuff like that, but this is only the little bit that we have. We still have more stuff to cover, and we have to see more of the suit, and we have to know more about the show in order for me to really get invested into it. But from what I'm seeing, it's kind of interesting to me. Just kind of, but not really something that pops out as much to me. But anyways, now on to CJ. What do you think of this?
I have to agree. Now, just for anyone who wonders, for the most part, all of our articles that we use in our news bit come from Orin's Range. But the comment that Thomas made about the brace looking like the Tokuger has actually come from another source, which is Hero Shock. Once again, that link will be down in the bottom. So it's interesting how that idea came about. The idea that it gave me is that, we know that the Kamen Rider will eventually team up with the Sentai, and we will eventually have that crossover. So the problem, or the thing that I foresee, is somehow the two are going to swap powers temporarily in some way, shape, or form. But, Mr. Volt, how do you feel about it so far from what we have seen with the new introduction of the catalog?
Well, I'm looking at everything here, and I look at the belt, and I'm so confused. It looks like we're gonna have another big, bulky belt like the Forza driver that just sticks way out from your midsection, and the other stuff like the handle sword and the door gun, I laugh at the fact that we now have a weapon called a door gun. I laugh at the fact that Car Ranger or Go Ranger didn't beat them to it.
I do have to say yes, and if you actually click on the image to make the image bigger of the full toy catalog, it actually looks like a freaking door.
Oh no,
So
it does.
yeah.
The other thing that I find just a little smidge annoying is how they really are keeping Drive, like his overall design, under lock and key at the moment, because all we got is just silhouettes.
Yes, I do. Yes, that is a very, very good point. It's like we've already been introduced to the toys, pretty much what we're going to see, at least for the beginning. Okay, hurry up and introduce the person. What's the suit going to look like? Because I think we've all pretty much said it's going to look, at least from what we saw from the silhouette, it's going to look like a combination of Cheetah Nick and Excel. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
Anyway, continue.
I also had right now with this, I have to bring up a small discussion I had with a friend of mine earlier today. A lot of this is really just kind of blah. So, with some of it, it really depends on who's going to be writing this. I've heard some people crack some jokes of Inoue making a comeback.
Oh God, no.
No, I'm totally up for another Inoue series. It's been a while since we've heard from them.
What was their last one?
Kiva?
Wait, really?
I'd be alright.
They also wrote the O's section of Movie War Core.
That explains a lot.
But as for the toys, it all looks interesting. I actually like the idea of saving budget by recycling a toy. It also makes me wonder how easily reprogrammable the Toku brace is.
Yeah.
There's the possibility it'll be interchangeable
Maybe
at some point.
I just find it humorous that if that is what they're doing, is they're just rehashing the Toku brace for this.
Because CJ, you said there was about a Ranger Sentai crossover. The problem is Tokuger will be over by the next time that happens. At least by the current schedule we've gone by.
Not necessarily. My understanding, at least from what I have read, and if I can find the thing again, it's entirely possible that this Kamen Rider Gaim, which is what we are on right now, could potentially end a lot sooner than most Kamen Riders have. Most Kamen Riders make it to at least episode 50 to 51. The way that it sounds is like by episode like 40, between 40 and 45, it's going to be over. So there is the potential that before that point, Drive will have started and a crossover between the two could happen.
It's also
Tokuger already kind of got a crossover with Gaim. That's the only problem I see happening, but
well, it's also we're on about
Depends on
episode
the popularity.
38, 39 of Gaim, so even if it does go to full 50, we'll be about, by the time Gaim ends, Tokuger will be in 35 or so.
That is a good point.
So
Yeah.
they'll still have time because Gaim started up only about a week or two after Wizard finished.
Sounds about right.
because Wizard got 2 extra episodes, and then next week.
Yeah. Even if it is a month, they'll still make it to be able to do a quick team up.
Or the possibility. Then there's always
mean-
possible they'll do something similar they did to Wizard last year to Gaim.
Eh,
Which
that's a possibility too. Let's
I'd like to
see.
see all the Rider arms appear.
I am curious on one form, and it is man, I should be screen sharing this image. Hang on here. And tunnel vision. There we go. I am curious on TK03 here. He looks like a bruiser.
One thing I
does.
wonder, do you think those are forms or multiple writers?
That is what I'm wondering.
From
because-
the. Or,
Because look
sorry.
at how many numbers. It looks almost like a Sentai with all the
Yeah.
numbers.
At the moment, it sounds like it's going to be forms that he shifts to different styles, but
Like-
I'm not going to make like a super judgment call on that until we get
Get some more information.
But-
I actually have heard though that based on like the catalogs and based on the stuff at Hero Shock and Orange Range, that maybe that what I'm thinking is that TK03 and TK05 are actually going to be that they're going to be forms, that TK03 is going to be the new type Wild and that TK05 is going to be type Technic. And that's what I'm seeing because I can read very slowly some of the katakana. So it seems like from the katakana that I'm seeing that the black one is going to be type Wild, and that the green one's going to be type Technic, and then TK06 is actually going to be a rival person, a rival type character in the form of Machine Chaser. His name is.
Ooh.
So maybe there'll only be like 2 or 3 writers.
Maybe
Multiple, but not
Possibly.
time level.
Mm-hmm. What I do like though is that it feels as if to me that the different give me one sec. That the that the different cars are actually going to be resembling of not only like the switches from Forza, but in the sense of the rings from Wizard, in the sense that they're not all of them has an each individual form, but each one gives a specific power to the rider, which is what happens with the Wizard rings, and that's what I'm getting from all of these, and that it will also that each of them may also, in the sense, depending, will turn the car into close, somewhat in style to whatever the car is that he has, like in his forms. But it all depends. I do think it is interesting, though, and from what I'm seeing of Type Wild, he definitely seems like a more brute type. He seems very brute, very, big and sort of brawny from the silhouette, while Type Speed and Type Technic seem a lot more sleeker and a lot more, stylized, of course.
When I hear all these types, I'm like, oh god, there's going to be a Type Mach or Type Formula.
Those will probably be like final forms.
Yeah, that
or like an intermediate form, and he'll have a high-speed form, like 5's Axel.
Booster. Or Excel Trial.
Maybe.
No, I'm thinking 5's Axel, the 10-second burst of unlimited speed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, before we move on, Dylan, I know you've spoken on it some. Is there anything that you want to add?
I like the idea of being able to combine the idea of combinations with the forms instead of having a single one, kind of like what Wizard or Gaim did. Because I really feel, at least for Gaim, I was very disappointed by the Jimba arms, how far they went with it. I was kind of hoping combinations would get more elaborate, but...
Me too.
That's what
I was really hoping that after Gaim got his final form, someone would take up the mixed stuff and...
I heard that originally it was Baron that was supposed to take Jimba arms, but they changed it to Limited Energy.
It would have made a lot of sense, but one thing that I was thinking, because there's the regular melon lock seed, and then there's the energy melon.
Something special should happen there.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting combination to see. I think that's pretty much unanimous across the board.
I mean, yeah, we should be seeing a lot of Jimba arms because Baron has a Sengoku driver and a Genesis driver.
I never bothered to try it out.
Ryugen has a Sengoku driver and a Genesis driver.
Yeah, there's a lot of chances that can be out there.
There's a lot of wasted
It's a
potential.
general Kamen Rider problem. The characters never experiment enough with their powers.
Yep.
That happens.
All right.
There's...
Well, oh, Sorry, go ahead.
No. There's just a general logic problem. But
Oh, yes.
go ahead.
So before we move on to the next little bit of news, a friend of mine that I'm speaking with right now currently on Facebook is actually saying that his opinion of the gun, based on its appearance, he thinks it sucks. So I think he's kind of agreeing with you on that one, Noah. It looks straight up weird, to be honest.
The shape is identical to the Toku Blaster, just without the transforming.
To a degree. All right. The next thing that we have up on for our news bit is Dino Charge toys have been unveiled at San Diego Comic-Con.
And what's funny about this is that we're talking about Bandai of America today, so this is going to be fun.
Yeah,
but either way, let's get on with the actual news. So,
Okay. I gotta say this immediately about these, because I'm looking at this, and I can't believe this, but I actually really like that Red Ranger figure.
It's even muscular than previous figures. I thought they would...
Even with the muscles, it looks like it has some decent posability. And it also looks like they went and raided the figure arts molds for the weapons.
That's actually what I was thinking. It looks more figure artish, not action figure like what we have in our...
Yeah, weapons are usually like one flat slab.
Yes. So anyway, the toy gimmick is the gun gimmick is actually staying here in the U.S. You know, we all Americans have that whole big issue of it's guns, it's violence. Well, sorry. All I have to say to that is sorry, hun. It's part of the series.
do you mind if I just interrupt for one quick sec about something though? But I'm sorry for interrupting. I just want to add in one little quick bit that I was thinking, and it's that I'm also seeing, like, with the gun, like, and this is just something with Bandai America in general. I think we'll talk about this a little bit more once we get into Bandai of America, but the orange tips on the barrels, I've actually been hearing some debate about that, and, you know, the stuff about toy guns and all of that, the regulations and the laws and everything, but I just want to mention that with the barrel, because that's something that I think we're definitely going to focus on once we actually get into the Bandai of America versus Japan debate.
Well, that goes back a long time, and I can actually I can actually bring up a piece of history that's kind of part of that reason why that's there.
But we'll get into that more when we get into the Bandai of America part. Do you want to save it for that?
Yeah, but
yeah,
there is some stuff in these images that I kind of want to go over and
no
riff
problem.
a little bit, because boy, howdy, there's some weird stuff here.
I would have to agree with
yes.
May I bring up a certain piece?
Oh,
I think I know what it is.
I have the images up, and I'm cycling through them for everybody. But if you want me to go first, I can do this, because...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Or Volt.
In all the art, pink is pink. Her dino battery is pink. She's pink in the poster right there.
Yep.
It's gonna be pink in the show.
Yet the Zord that went with pink in Kyryuger is purple.
Yes.
Yep.
And their reasoning behind that is because if it is a pink Zord, that it would not be catering to the market in which it is initially being catered to. Now,
I think that the backlash might change their mind before release.
Well, the thing is, the character's still pink. The battery with the dino it's corresponding to is still pink, but the toy itself is purple.
I think the worst part is that there's already another Purple Ranger with another purple mech.
So what's gonna happen is Plezuo gonna be pink?
No.
I hope not.
I hope not either.
I mean, that would be a great twist. I'd have to give them the slow clap for that, but and here's what I was talking about with the Red Ranger figure. Even though he is the the generic, bulky, muscular superhero figure that they do for Power Ranger toys, it still looks really good.
And the muscles kind of work when you take and consider his Kyoryuger character. You take into account Daigo's kind of character. It works.
Oh man, I can't tell
Yes.
you the jokes I cracked when Minitira first happened, and Daigo did the shirt rip, and the first thing that came to my mind is, "I'm a guardian of the earth."
The first thing that came up for me is, I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt.
Alright, now that's enough of
Sexy,
that.
it hurts. That's the first thing that popped into my head when I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
There is
Anyways.
one more thing that I'm actually kind of noticing, and it looks like we're using the actual Kyoryuger molds here.
There's some slight differencing,
You can see
but
the sword builder ports.
I do see that, but yeah, but the only other thing is Drakira's horns have been smoothed out,
Yes.
yeah.
and
Gabutira's tail is different. The way
Also,
it
I also noticed something else with Gabutira. Is it just me, and I don't know if they did this on the Kyoryuger thing as well, but I noticed the little red things, and those are looking like, really cool, almost hinge joints. Those hinge joints right there for the leg. So I'm thinking once they do that, that means they will actually be able to spread apart and be able to move and actually have a little bit more mobility. More mobility than even some of the Sentai mech that I have.
So what that is for how the Gabutira leg transformation actually happens, because it's gotta swing down,
Yep,
and
I
then
know.
lift up and clip in some areas. So that's what those are for. I believe once the leg transformation is actually complete, they will be sort of static.
It would be cool, though, if it wasn't static. It would be cool if they could find a way to make that joint work and actually make it even more posable than the original.
I do like that it looks like the head comes off, and hopefully a Zord builder port.
That would be interesting.
That would be.
It would be.
And I'm happy they kept the whole battery seems to actually plug into that slot in order to fit the arms on.
I'm actually happy that they kept the battery thing in general, because I
can't really tell if they go in the mouth or not.
Well, the thing when I look at the batteries right now is, save for the numbers are missing, they look like they're the same as the Japanese version, so we might just be able to use these with a Japanese Gabu revolver.
Maybe.
They look a little smaller though, and the button looks a little different.
Yeah, though it doesn't. I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like I don't think there is Do you think there actually is going to be a button on the top of the batteries? Because it doesn't.
Oh no, I can already tell that small fin right there at the top here is.
I can tell it's going to be there, but do you know for sure if it's going to be a button?
Scanners that instead of having a glow-in-the-dark thing on the other side, it'll have a picture of the Ranger.
Maybe.
Possibly. That's what I saw in the scans at least.
I'm definitely looking forward to see if these are actually Japanese compatible, because if they are, these might be a great way for some people to pick up Judenshi that they missed.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a good point.
I wouldn't however.
And one thing that I kind of want to point out, Noah, you kind of hit on this. Sorry, I keep on calling you that. You're Volt.
Yeah, it's fine.
Something that someone pointed out was that for Season 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, when the Shogun Megazord was introduced, so,
I know what you're going to bring up.
Yes, in the show, it was a white Zord, not a pink
I know
Zord.
where this is going.
Because of the white.
Right, but they changed it to a pink Zord for the toy. in this case, why are they changing the pink toy that they were so diehard about having so that the Pink Ranger could have her Zord? Why are they now changing it to a purple Zord?
It's called mass
Dino
appeal.
Charge?
Also, that was 20 years ago. 20 years.
Good point.
Remember?
Good point.
Eh,
I mean, that was an argument that a friend of mine, Levinson Rogers, made. He kind of made mention of that. That was the first time that I had heard it. Okay, I know we kind of talked about it here, but
That mold had been identical aside from the color.
yes. Alrighty. Dylan, do you have anything that you want to add?
I'm somewhat. I only collected Paridano of the Kyoryuger line because he was the only one I actually specifically liked. Generally, I've come to like a lot of these Zords or Sentai mechas when they come to Zord Builder because I like the size better. I tend to like them better when they come out here. So I'm already thinking I'll like Gabu, at least the Gabuteer mold that they have a lot.
Alrighty. Moving on. Apparently, Saban Brands has contacted an indie game developer due to a Super Sentai inspired game. Apparently, according to the news article, the attorneys for Saban have contacted them for Chroma Squad, a game that allows you to create your own Super Sentai series. Apparently, the studio is working with Saban's attorneys for a win-win situation that can benefit both parties. But based on what we can see from the pictures, and yes, I was actually hoping you were going to do that, Volt. Based on what we can see here,
can't see it, but I'm giving you a thumbs up.
what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think that Saban is in the right by getting his attorneys involved, or what? So we're going to start with Volt since he's laughing his behind off.
Yes, there's so. Oh, I'm sorry. I really love this idea
Of the game?
But I love the game idea. I love everything that's going on here. But good God, they're like 2 steps away from just stepping on a copyright infringement landmine.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have to somewhat agree.
I don't know. I think that the idea has merit. I'd really love to do this. I really hope that this win-win situation leaves us with a win, but not like one of those bittersweet victories where we lose out on something that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is, for me, kind of throw my 2 cents in here. I don't necessarily think Saban should have gone in. Yes, this is kind of a copyright landmine type situation, but at the same time, by trying to go in and bring lawyers in and try to develop a win-win situation, I'm afraid it's eventually not going to turn out to be a win-win situation, but a Kobayashi Maru, if you know what I mean.
Yes, for anyone of you who are not Star Trek savvy.
The no-win situation.
No-win scenario. Yes.
Yes.
I've used that phrase.
I personally
was
think it's a little sad that it took them this long to take action on it, because this game, I've been following its development for a good while, at least over a year. But then there is the possibility that we can get official Ranger costumes in the game now, if everything does go well, which is unlikely. But
I don't quite know if we're gonna get to that, but
who knows?
I'm really, really hoping that this doesn't require a drastic art asset change.
We shall see on that. Hopefully we'll have more news down the line about this because I do like the idea. Yes, as was mentioned, it's a freaking landmine of copyright, just blah. But I could see it working to some degree.
They have a Common Writer level planned, so hopefully that doesn't get them in more trouble.
Well, it depends which Common Writer that they use. But I will say one thing.
Right.
Kudos to the sneaky Mass Effect fan.
Huh?
The character that they're showing at the moment is named Jay Shepard.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Alright, yep.
Very funny.
I mean, I actually, the person that I'm speaking with on Facebook says that they did not use any Power Ranger forms, and Saban should just lay off and let it be.
Well, it's
I see what he's getting at, but at the same time, I'm looking at this, and it's very. I do see the extreme similarity to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, you can't see me pointing and everything, but the helmets look almost dead on.
Color scheme.
I don't know. The color scheme is pretty much dead on. I don't know.
Lance,
It's-
it's hitting a very dangerous spot, but it's also
Yeah.
in that kind of like safe area because it's changed up enough that it's not in total infringement, but
There's been enough Ranger parodies out there that I just.
Well, yes.
there's not many good Ranger games out there.
No, not really, to be honest.
I mean, Ranger parodies. There's been so many other parodies and homages to it, and they've never taken legal action before.
I
Well,
think one of the
I think those were so niche that people would very much be that they're like, that won't do that well. But something like this, I think will sell gangbusters, and they'll just be like, oh, we need to get a piece of that pie.
Yeah, which I think is the reason why Saban's going for this, is they want to try to get a piece of the pie. What I'm surprised is that Toei isn't going and trying to do any copyright, because it does say on the picture Chroma Squad Indie Sentai Studio. It doesn't say anything about Power Rangers, it's specifically talking about Super Sentai.
Okay, the reason that they have no mark there is because one, the way copyright stuff works in Japan is much different from here. It's basically as long as you don't harm the image of my IP, we're good. That's how Bon Presto is able to do the Super Robot Wars games and have see, we got Mazinger from Go Nagai over here, we got Dan Kuga over here. You know what? Let's pull in. I don't know. How about I think there was a Super Robot Wars that had Battle Fever Robo in it once.
And also, as we've seen from the many, many Sentai parodies in Japan, that it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah. Plus, Toei can't just like, oh, you used the word Sentai, we're gonna sue you.
Yeah.
Well, no, because the terms. Yeah, well, I mean, the term Sentai just means task force or squadron, depending upon your particular interpretation. So.
It's a word.
Yeah.
You cannot copyright a word. People have tried.
And they have failed. They have tried recently.
King Games, I think, still owns the word candy right now, but whatever.
They're idiots anyway. Y'all didn't hear me say that.
Or remember suing for scrolls. That does.
I'm done on this, so if anyone else wants to talk.
Anybody else?
No?
So we just have one last article, and CJ?
Yes. So I am pretty sure that everyone who is a fan of Super Sentai or Power Rangers, mainly focusing on Power Rangers, has probably heard the news about the new Power Rangers film.
Yeah.
You know, there's been different there's been different comments. There've been there's nothing confirming whether it's like a completely new film or if it is a reboot or what it is. But now in the news article that I'm currently looking at, it says that Robert Orci or Orsi or however it is you say his name. Names are irrelevant here. That the first thing the staff are having to do is learn the history of the franchise. So basically, they are having to learn the franchise of Power Rangers from start to finish, and they have 600 pages of work. They have 600 pages worth of research. Can I be the first to say that I want that research book?
I want that, and I really want them to I think part of their research should definitely be the history of Power Rangers by Linkara.
Yes. And later on down at the end, it says that it's going to be a continuity within the world. So he's saying that it can't be, revealed, but it's a continuity within the world of Power Rangers. So what that means, we don't know. It could be based on the picture that we're looking at, it could be a continuity of the original Power Rangers movie, or it could be a continuity of what we already have at this point, and it's just continuing on from there.
Or
There's
maybe
no way that we'll know.
a brand new team, brand new original suits.
Snap.
What? No.
Possibly.
No. Just that idea is absolutely crazy.
That it just might work.
Oh yeah, no.
Remember the Spirit Rangers? You could have a whole team of those in Titanium Ranger. We've done that in the past.
Man.
That would be interesting.
That's kind of one of the few characters I'm really sad don't get to be in the Legend Wars. I would have loved Ryan being on helmet,
Yes.
like helmet off and all that, and
Yeah. I'm still upset he got his own invitation.
well, it was a lot in part due to some of them just couldn't put their entire life on pause to fly out to New Zealand.
The problem with Ryan's character was he got uninvited.
Yeah.
Well, also along that lines, if I remember correctly, the reason why everyone was invited to some degree, but my understanding was that the invite was very impersonal to the point of instead of saying "Dear David Yost" or "Dear Austin St. John," it said "Dear Power Ranger." There was no personal thought into it.
It was a copy paste form letter.
And that's
pretty
just
much. And my understanding is I want to say it was one of the former Yellow Rangers, Aisha. What was her real?
I think it was Aisha, and then the person who played Space Pink gave the same thing. No, because I think she's there.
Yeah, she's there. Space Pink is there.
Well,
it was another Pink that was very much I can't go there because I can't put my job. You are not paying me enough to make up for the fact that I have to put my job and life on pause to fly out to New Zealand for a few months to film this stuff.
Something that's also funny is look at Power Morphicon. It's a prime example that many of these actors still do enjoy the community and the franchise.
Like Jason David Frank and Jason Font are very much.
yes.
We'll do it for free. Because
Font has been appearing a lot lately. He's been
it's mostly due to JD. Like a lot of some of the past actors have been popping up more due to JDF giving them shoutouts. The guy who played Justin in Turbo has been making a comeback.
Blake Foster.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
I'm actually friends with him.
He looks
He's
older
actually pretty cool.
now.
Yeah, that one is kind of interesting, but he's actually a pretty nice guy. I've actually talked with him. He just recently had a son.
Nice.
But anyway, that's off topic.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Here's hoping.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be one of those things where I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens, because I do know, as was mentioned, the problem with, at least with this superhero Legend Wars or whatever it's called. I'm not really paying attention to Super Mega Force, but the main reason why a lot of people did not come back was one of two reasons. One, they just did not feel like they had the funds to be able to support themselves to fly out there, because Saban, my understanding from Aisha's actress was that they were not willing to really pay for them to fly out there. They were pretty much having to pay out of their own pocket. They were only going to get a little itty bitty amount to.
What I want to ask though is why not give them that amount? Why not do that? I understand that Saban is trying to save as much money as humanly possible, but at the same time, why not have these actors be able to fly out? And why, if you're going to have this big battle and try to pay so much of an homage, why aren't they going the extra mile to try to make that happen if they care so much about their fans?
Well, there's kind of a two-part reason for this. First and foremost, the problem with people like Aisha's actress and all that was Saban was not told them they would not cover their travel expenses, so they would not pay for the plane ticket, which is quite a lot, and they would also not pay for their hotel. All that would have to come out of the actor's pocket. The money that they were promised, which was their paycheck for doing this, would not even come close to covering the expenses.
Yeah.
And as for a lot of the... a friend of mine who, a while back, I did a Super Sentai panel with at SakuraCon, explained something very interesting, which is kind of why you don't hear from people like Bridges actor showing up there. And that is, Disney has this weird legal thing where it's, if you do a certain character for them, they own the rights to that character. So Bridge can, unless he's working for Disney doing this Power Ranger-like thing, his actor can't play Bridge again.
What about Casey from Jungle Fury? Because he had his own episode, cameo in Mega.
I know, it's why it's this weird thing, man. I guess they just didn't care about Casey.
Casey's a main writer on the series now.
I still find that kind of Weasley that he used that to try and shoehorn a character episode for his gag.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I liked it.
It works. All right. Does anyone else have anything else that they would like to say on this before we move on to the main juice?
I kind of wish they'd take whatever money they're putting into this movie and just put it into the next season.
Understandable.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you.
Too, but at the same time, it is at least an interesting idea of wanting to do a movie. I'm just hoping that, that we don't have all these other people because, how do I put it? That it doesn't turn out the way that so many of these other reboots of old TV shows, like, funny enough, with Robert Orci, the two other films that he's been producing, Star Trek and Transformers, most infamously. Because I don't know if this was completely true or not, but wasn't there like a rumor or something on the Power Rangers page that Michael Bay was going to be directing?
No.
I think that was more labeled. I think that was confirmed as a rumor.
Oh, it's just
that was a rumor.
I think that was just.
It's just funny because it would make too much sense.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it would actually kind of fit perfectly. As much as people like to drop the
I'd
Michael
rather
Bay
you not, but
raper of my childhood, which I mean, I don't want to get on the Michael Bay soapbox here because I think the guy gets too much crap because he's an easy target.
Yes.
But anyways, that's kind of going slightly off topic. But yeah, I am somewhat hoping that they don't have Michael Bay completely on, because I did like the first Transformers movie, going slightly off topic, but then the rest of them just kind of declined and declined and declined. And I don't even want to get into that. That's an argument for another day. But anyways, all I hope is that whatever the case.
I was going to make the crack that Lockdown from the fourth movie has the perfect defense against movie Prime, and that is the face gun, because now Prime cannot rip his face off.
yeah.
Well, according to the person that I am talking to on Facebook, apparently that was a prank by a friend of his. So, apparently
Well
it was
done,
a prank that...
Or
yes, sir. It's Mr. J.C. Calloway. Anyway, so moving on. So before we get to the main topic of this podcast, you will all probably notice that once that Sebastian is not here, and neither is Adrian, or Frogs as he is more well known. One is suffering...
We lost them to a freak tornado.
Yes. Yes, freak tornadoes.
Yes, freak. No, yeah, cyclone full of razor blades.
Sebi is having technical difficulties at the current moment, and Adrian has a new job that he is doing, which did not allow him to be here tonight. So that's why we're kind of short-casted today, but we are working with what we have, and we're all four of us here are surely wonderful people.
Yes.
All right.
Mostly.
I try.
All right now.
I'm a terrible,
All right,
terrible
so we're
person.
moving on to... All right, so we're going to move on to our main dish, as I like to call it.
It's course.
So,
you keep getting the name wrong.
Main course, I call it main dish. I'm running this. It's main course or main dish. So we all know that for anyone that is a collector, that there has been in recent years a major change, a major shift in the way that Bandai of American toys have been made compared to what we get from Japan. So we decided that today that was what we were going to talk about, the difference between Bandai of Japan and Bandai of America.
I just want to make... I'm sorry for interrupting, but can I just make one quick note? One quick tiny note for all the other people. This is not going to be... I don't mean this in a bad way to those there, but this is not going to be a rant just bashing on Bandai of America, because honestly, I think out of all of us, there's actually some good for Bandai America that we want to talk about. But either way, yeah. I just want to mention that because I know some people will kind of think, oh, we're going to bash Bandai of America, but not necessarily. But either way, I just wanted to use that as a pretense, so either way.
All right.
So I will let, since CJ's being the one who's leading, I will let him speak. So go ahead, CJ.
So since we've been kind of going in a random order today, for this one, I'm actually going to start with Dylan. Caught you off guard with that one, didn't I? Yes, the wonderful hot seat. So Dylan, give us what your opinion is. Based on what you know of Bandai of Japan versus Bandai of America. And then we'll just go from there. And then
I only got back into Toku around end of Super. I had originally stopped around SPD, stopped collecting at least Power Ranger wise. So unfortunately, I don't have any of my older toys. I used to have everything from the Wild Force line. They were all Bandai Japan toys because they just imported them back then. But from what I have gotten from, say, Bandai of America, I do think they are more hated than they deserve to be. The advantage of how much cheaper they are, how I can get like something that looks just like Gokaiō that for about $35 instead of about say 500, not sorry 500, like about 90.
Wow.
500 would be if you won the
500.
collection, but certain things still work pretty well. So.
Okay. All right, Noah, your opinion? Or your
well, for those who see my camera whenever it's up, I mean, it hasn't been up much due to all the photos they've been putting up for everybody, but this guy here is the only Bandai of Japan toy on this shelf. These are all U.S. except for him. He's from Nintendo. So, but another thing that you'll notice is these are all back from the day when Bandai of America and Bandai of Japan shared the same molds. Same for some key differences, like with the pink car for him.
And stickers.
They're about the same.
I don't miss all the stickers.
But I don't dislike the U.S. toys these days. I just think that there's something. I think the term I'm going to use here is hinky with them.
What do you mean?
Something feels off with them, and they don't have that same soul they used to.
I think that's actually a somewhat agreeable way of looking at that.
To put it this way, and boy, this is going to kind of go off topic a bit, but a lot of people ask when it comes to Kamen Rider Dragon Knight why they picked Ryuki, and I can clearly tell you because it's the series with the 13 to 15 Kamen Riders. That means 13 to 15 characters with toys they can sell.
Yes.
Instead of a more like really nice thematical series with better story potential, in my personal opinion, like Kiva or Blade. But the thing with Kiva, then they have to try and deal with all the religious undertones.
And the darkness.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go back on. I'm gonna go back on the path over there. These off-topic woods are scary. So, I think that's what I think is off to me is if a lot of the Zord Builder stuff, which I do think is kind of cool, feels like a cheap cash grab.
There are a few problems with some of their toys. For example, the recent Q-Rex, the drill. It doesn't. I was hoping it would wind up and then maybe like press the key and make it go. Instead, every time you press the key, it rotates like 45 degrees. And I think.
All right, all you gotta do is just be like.
No, we won't go. We won't get into that. There might be some children watching this.
Oh God, please.
Yes, I went there. My apologies.
Yes. Yes.
Get in your corner. In the corner.
I will.
Get in the perv corner.
Thomas, your opinion.
Well, me with as much of an as an avid collector as I am, especially with the, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to get it in shot, but all the way over here, there's this pretty massive collection of Japanese stuff. It's hard to see since my camera is absolute crap, but there's this huge display of boxes and everything over there. All of that stuff is Bandai of Japan, and I've always been a big fan of, I've been a fan of Super Sentai and stuff, so I've always collected that, and in doing research, and ever since I've really been starting to collect so many of the toys, I've really had more of an affinity from the stuff from Japan than I have had the American, because yes, the American stuff was good at a point where they did share the same molds and do a lot of things. But eventually there came to a point where Saban was trying to be able to save money and trying to sell things cheaper and try to really get their toy sales in. And because of that, they started eventually lowering the qualities of the toys. And that's when things started to get really finicky.
That wasn't entirely Saban's doing. A lot of
No,
that
that
was
started with
Disney.
Nick. Yes,
Oh,
because
Saban, Disney, you know what I mean. I didn't mean it that way.
atrocious.
Say
Okay,
again, you
so-
broke up a little there.
The Overdrive through RPM toys had many more issues than the current BOA stuff has.
I will admit that is
I do agree with
somewhat
that.
of a good point. That is somewhat of a good point. I definitely did see some stuff with Operation Overdrive and some of the other ones that were bigger problems, like with Operation Overdrive, like the Overdrive Megazord compared to the Daiboken, which I don't have the Daiboken. But bigger isn't. Yeah, but bigger isn't necessarily better, in my opinion. That they try to make Daiboken bigger, but at the same time, in doing so, they sacrifice the quality of the plastic and the quality of the transformation and stuff. Whereas, just to give an example, I have the Japanese version of the Shinkano, and I've had this for years, and I still love this thing because the quality of the plastic is so good, and it's so hefty and nice, and I also have the Tokyo, and then for Kamen Rider, I have the Sengoku driver right here, and soon I'm actually going to be getting the double driver, but that's on a bit of a different topic. But point being is that when it comes to toy quality, at least lately, there's definitely been a very distinct difference between Bandai of Japan and Bandai of America. Bandai of America in the sense of doing new molds and going through all these different processes to try to make cheaper toys. And I can sort of pinpoint a couple reasons for that, which I don't think are very legitimate, but are still reasons, mainly in the sense of wanting to save costs and making the toys cheaper. But then, too, what I think is the main reason is that people want the toys to be broken, because these are aimed at, 5 to 6 year olds who don't completely know exactly, I don't mean this in a bad way, but don't know exactly what they're doing and could break the toys, which then means that the parents would have to go out and buy replacements of said toys, which if you buy multiple copies of toys, of course, sales are going to go a lot higher than you would something that if you just buy it once and it lasts for a longer time. So it seems like Saban is not only doing this to save money, but also to gain money in a different sense as well. But I still don't think that they should be able to sacrifice and compromise the qualities of the toys for the sake of mass appeal and mass profit.
I don't think
that's my opinion, though.
To break on purpose, that seems a tad far-fetched.
I know that seems a little bit far-fetched, but still.
We're getting to the point of Legion of Doom here.
Yeah.
That plan is
we're
getting.
We're
to bring up is the Ranger keys. I personally believe in almost every way the American keys are superior, honestly.
I would have to wholeheartedly disagree with you.
I think they're more key-sized. I think the plastic on them is nicer. The head molds are better. Paint's nicer. And then, most of all, just the fact that they flip automatically.
Which
that is
a cool
one aspect
feature.
that I can agree is actually a good feature.
Is deluxe. They're all deluxe level.
Okay, well,
But
the
at the
point that I
same
want
time-
to bring up...
Wait, sorry. Go ahead, CJ, sorry.
The point that I do want to bring up is the fact, and it was kind of already touched on, starting with Operation Overdrive / Bokenger, that's when we see the major shift.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the morphers were somewhat different at a certain point, because I know that the Mystic
Morphers were overly expensive for some reason.
Well, yes, but actually, the thing that I noticed, at one point I had the white Magi Mother phone from Magi Ranger, and it was actually the Japanese version. Yes, it was actually a good. It was at least twice the size of the Mystic Morpher that we got here in the U.S. Plus, it had the different soundboard, but it was significantly larger, and so that's when I saw the shift, at least in the morphers. The thing that I can show here right now, I actually have two Megazords that are the same exact thing, but one's Bandai of Japan, one's Bandai of America, and it's actually Mystic Force. So this is the Mystic Titan. This is the American one. If you can see it,
Yeah.
you know, this thing is pretty decently sized, and it's pretty well built. Well, then you have the Magi King, and with the exception of some different paint detail, because the main difference that I have seen is that on the Mystic Titan, the little pink thing was not painted on. I think because of the the going for boys, not anybody else.
It's too colorless. Even though
Oh yes, pretty much.
way back in the day, it was actually considered a manly color.
I know, but with the main, but that's the only thing that is different between these two, is that that the Japanese one has a more accurate paint job to match what was in the show, but other than that, there is no mold difference whatsoever. And it wasn't until Magi Ranger / Mystic Force or until Operation Overdrive and Bokenger that there was a shift in the mold. I know Thomas actually brought this up. The Daiboken is small. Like, he's actually smaller, just a hair smaller than this guy. And I mean, he's pretty tall.
He was for a mecha.
Yeah, he was pretty short. The one, what was High Octane? Is that what he was called in the U.S.?
It was the High Octane, yeah. No,
Yes.
that's RPM, sorry.
Yeah.
High Octane.
Well, whatever he was.
What was it? Let's see. Was it the Overdrive Max Megazord or something? Let me check.
Yes, Drive Max. That was it. Drive Max Megazord.
Yes, thank you.
Was taller, but like was mentioned, there was a shift in the plastic. There was a shift in the plastic quality. And it actually wasn't until Geki Ranger / Jungle Fury that
was the next year.
Yes, which was the next year that the Japanese mold was used again for the mecha. For anyone who doesn't know about that, there were actually two different versions of the Jungle Pride Megazord that were made. There was the one that was able to combine with the bat, the shark, and the elephant, which were the American animals, but it could only combine with that one. Then there was another one with the same name. It did not say that it was being imported from Japan, but it was the same mold. It was the same mold as the Japanese one, still labeled the Jungle Pride Megazord, but it was pretty much the exact version of Geki Toa, which is what it was called in Japan.
And then were the other Zords just Japan imports?
Actually, I do not think so, because I think the Jungle Master Megazord was still American-based, because it was able to combine with the American toys, too. It was able to combine with the American auxiliary Zords.
That's almost like kind of what we're doing right now with releasing the Nippon Edition Megazords later, like how the Japanese say great, you can purchase at Toys R Us now?
Yes and no. What we're actually doing here in the U.S. right now is we're actually just directly importing it. Instead,
it's still Japanese box.
Yeah, it's still pretty much the Japanese box. It's the same paint job as the Japanese one. There's no change in that. You know, like there's no change in the paint job. There's nothing of that. It's the exact Japanese toy. Please pardon my stutter, everyone. but it wasn't until Samurai that we actually started just directly importing the Japanese toy. So,
which you can still find on the shelves because nobody bought them.
yes, I think the reason for that being is because a lot of them wanted to be able to create the massive, big, bulky Zord that, like, was starting with Samurai, Samurai Hao.
Yep.
Yes. They did not import all the necessary parts to be able to do that with the Japanese ones, so that's the reason why those are. That's the reason why those are starting to fail.
It's about 100.
It's not even that. They actually the Bandai of America Samurai series was very weird because I saw a very interesting comparison that showed when Shinkano would combine with I forget the lobster transformed state.
Clawzord?
Yeah, the Clawzord.
Yeah, but it's when they would become like Super Shinkano or whatever.
Daikei Shinkano in Japan, but
yeah, but basically what happened is there was this section where the pink and yellow are supposed to transform into these things that go onto the back. And the Japanese versions could do that, but instead on the Bandai of America one, we got this pre-molded piece.
Yeah, because they couldn't fold.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the only one that could technically fold was the pink one. That was the only one, though.
And that was only by coincidence.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's a little weird, especially when you're going all the way up to like Samurai Hao, or as they, I hate that they call it the Gigazord.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just completely bypassed the Ultra Zord and went straight to Gigazord.
And this thing, they don't even call it the Samurai Gigazord. They just call it the Gigazord.
Like it's the most powerful Gigazord there. Like it's the most powerful thing there is.
Gigazord, or something like that.
RPM, I think I recall, also got American version of the toys because you couldn't fit in the actual cells. They were little cardboard ones.
I vaguely remember that. That one actually did not get the import though. That one did not. That one didn't even get a Japanese equivalent. So, but anyway, so kind of shifting gears a little bit, staying on the same subject but shifting gears. What is everyone's take? Okay, we've pretty much gone over what everyone's take on the toys are. If any of you could make a recommendation to Bandai of America, I know that something that was mentioned was the quality of the plastic and the droppability and breakability, because I definitely noticed that with the Legacy Megazord, or the not really the Legacy one, but no, not the Legendary, the Legacy. It wasn't the one that had the die-cast metal, but it was, yeah, the 2010 one. I definitely noticed when I had that thing felt cheap. To me, it was not worth it because to me it felt cheap. There were parts that looked like they were there, but they didn't roll. The wheels on the Triceratops just did not roll.
I think one of their main problems, at least with the Megazords, is paint applications. Because if any of you have seen the Turbo Falcon, which just came out, which is the Mock Falcon.
Oh, God. They seriously screwed up my Falcon. Seriously.
When you move to its final form, the Ultimate Legendary Megazord, I think, it's missing a lot of paint on the chest, especially where it's just kind of a black slab where it usually has a bunch of flame decals. And it doesn't really look right. That's one of their biggest issues, I think, when it comes to paint apps. And then the issue proceeds with a lot of their other stuff. Like, where they'll mold in things, but they won't paint it. Like, all over the Gokaiger, or the Super Mega Force stuff, there are Gokaiger logos, and they've molded them in, but they haven't painted them, so you can't see them.
Right.
Yeah, this is actually, I found this picture just now. This is the picture of the thing he's talking about, the Ultimate Legendary Megazord, and you can see right there that there's a whole bunch of detail that's not painted in.
That's
whole bunch
also
of detail.
a bunch of
really...
planes and stuff.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That's one of its biggest issues. The hand is kick-ass.
The hand is...
So, getting to what I was going to ask, if y'all had the ability to talk to Bandai of America and kind of Saban at the same time, since he's kind of running it in a way, what would y'all, at least in terms of the toys, make a recommendation on? Would you recommend sticking with the way that it's going, or possibly shifting back over to going with the original Japanese molds?
I say stick with Zord Builder, because as a kid who was obsessed with Bionicles and Legos, I think it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
For me, I gotta say, go back to importing. You can do some retooling to keep the Zord Builder stuff, but you have a great import pipeline right now because you have Bluefin Tamashii Nations, who's like in bed with Bandai Tamashii Nations in Japan.
Oh wow.
Pretty much.
And so it's really you should Bandai of America should be using them more often because they really seem to get much better deals and tricks. So
Okay. Thomas, what's your take?
I kind of agree with Volt on this one, to try to more stick with the Japanese molds, use a little bit more higher quality plastic, but try to keep it at a balance. If you want to keep it cheap, try to kind of... You can keep it somewhat cheap, and yes, you can maybe integrate the Zord Builder system for the kids, but maybe in a different way. Like, I know the import stuff is failing, and I know this seems really far-fetched, but maybe keep doing the Zord Builder system stuff and make smaller Megazords for that, but then kind of like the DX ones, quote-unquote, the deluxe ones, have more high-quality plastic, have more of the features that the Japanese ones would use, and maybe just use some more of the Japanese molds. And if you don't want to use the same high-quality plastic, then don't, but at least try to keep the same molds and features, just with different quality plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the stuff that kids will buy, the stuff that they really want to buy, and the stuff that they really appeal to, and then the people who have some of the people who are a little bit older, the people who know how to play with their toys more, and ones who more enjoy the higher quality, have those options for them. Like how in Japan they have the, for the little kids, they have the Narikiri sets for some of the Kamen Rider stuff, where they have little tiny versions of like the Sengoku Driver and the Muso Saber and all of these things, but then they have the DX version, which is much more high quality.
Combined with each other, because they've been pretty consistent with their ports.
Yeah, but you're getting the idea. Do something kind of for the kids, but excuse me.
I think
who are a little bit older.
I see what you're getting at. That's actually kind of what I was going to say. I mean, I find the Zord Builder system interesting. Just because it makes it to where, you know, if I want the legendary Megazord to have, instead of a submarine for a leg, if I want it to have a Triceratops for a leg, I can do it, and I don't care. But at the same time, I do see where Thomas is coming from. Maybe have the Zord Builder system, maybe have that more so for the younger ones. And then, you know, it's pretty much obvious that, you know, for those of us like my age and Volt's age, you know, we like the higher quality stuff that was originally made, and what we import, and basically what we pay to import from Japan.
And my
so
age too.
Well, I'm using our age.
I know what you're saying. I was just making.
I'm an old man. No.
We're old man.
The problem with that, however, is the fact that most, specifically you guys, in general, people will already have these toys by the time Power Ranger comes out in the U.S. So
that is somewhat of a valid argument, but at the same time, you know, there are some that I would like to see that I'd like to get my hands on at a little bit cheaper price.
There are some for me that I would really like to. I think a way that we could do that is actually if they brought the Sentai Mecha Super Robot Chogokin line back in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, because they haven't done Super Robot Chogokin in a while. I know that they did it with the Shinkano, but they haven't done it with very many of the others.
They did Shinkano, the original Megazord, which got released here. We actually got a US version
I
of
see
that.
it all the time at cons.
And there was one more, Deca Ranger Robo.
Yeah. Magic got a release.
Yeah.
Oh, and Magic King and a Gokaio, because they all...
It was during
Yeah, they all had parts that would go to the Super Robot Chogokin Gokaio.
Did they?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you got Deca Ranger Robo, you got like a little Super Robot Chogokin Pat Striker Gokai version. If you got like a little Gokai variant Magi Dragon, if you got Magic King,
Etc. Etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
That's why they picked
Those specific ones.
Shinken. Yeah, why they picked those very specific ones, except for Shinkano, because well,
The red line's giant.
yeah.
Yeah, the red line kind of covered two for that one. So I
Animal Heart with only one animal.
yes.
There's one last thing, actually. I don't mean to, to interrupt anyone if anyone's going to say something, but there's one last thing I want to acknowledge that I just thought of that I really want to talk about, which seems kind of forgotten, and it's that at one point, didn't Bandai try to import some of the SH figure arts into Toys R Us?
Yeah,
They have been.
Right.
They have.
Yeah, they have.
They only did it for red and gold.
What are you guys' thoughts on that? I know they only did it for that as more of kind of a bit of a test run, but what do you guys think of that?
No, they've been bringing tons of them over and
Really?
rebranding them. Yes.
Interesting.
You can go buy Mighty Morphin.
Oh, the Mighty Morphin ones. I forgot about those. Yes.
Not
Yeah,
even that. They did the Deca Ranger. They're doing the Deca Ranger ones right now. I got this guy. The Mighty Morphin
that's
brand
cool.
box.
I just remember the Shinken ones were the ones that were the only ones they released in retail stores. The other ones, they have them, but you have to buy them online or at convention.
No. I bought him at a Toys R Us.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, no.
Because I know Shinken Red is the cheapest figure art out there. You can get one for $15.
I think mine is my Shinken Red is a US version.
Same thing with Shinken Gold. You can find them for like $15.
Yeah,
If you want
mine's the US version, but it was still like boxed Shinken Red.
Yeah.
Samurai Red.
Here's what I have to ask, though, is what are your guys' thoughts on it? That's the one last thing I want to talk about.
I think it's a great thing because that's, again,
I hope they continue.
Bandai Tamashii Nations working with Bluefin. And Bluefin's
Yes.
not only bringing over Power Rangers stuff, they're bringing over a lot of the DBZ figure arts. A lot of things that were web shop exclusives. They're having Bandai Tamashii Nations reprints.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
If you recall, there was a partnership they did with Barnes & Noble that they were supposed to start releasing General Bluefin stuff and Gundam model Gunpla.
Oh wow.
But,
A lot of people have claimed they found them. They could find the Mighty Morphin figure arts there, the Sailor Moon figure arts there, a bunch of Gunpla there, but I have had no luck out of the many Barnes & Nobles I've tried to look at.
I'm trying to see if I... Yeah.
Yeah, check the game for your local Barnes and Noble. See if they have Gunpla or stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm going through their Facebook, which if you aren't subscribed to the Bluefin Tamashi Facebook, you're doing a really, really big disservice to yourself because they announce U.S. release dates here a lot,
Oh, good.
and they basically give you the inside track on everything that is the
Bluefin.
How do you? I'm trying to go to that, and now that you've reminded me, I'm trying to find that.
just Bluefin Tamashi Nations USA. Yeah, they're a great way to keep track of even
Figure arts.
yeah the Japanese figure arts release.
And see, that's actually a good thing.
Yes,
I
I would
mean-
have to definitely agree with that. I haven't done any figure arts myself, but it does seem like definitely a really cool idea to import a lot of the stuff there. Also, one more little bit of okay. I know this is really off topic, and I literally just learned about this. Just learned about it. But there was on Toku Nation, there was just a news report that Shout Factory will be releasing the original Jew Ranger on DVD in America.
That was the thing I was mentioning earlier, that they'd announced something
Yeah.
at Comic-Con today.
Yeah, and they just announced it. And I
Official
heard
subtitles and all?
Nah,
I
most
think-
likely.
Or maybe,
Probably.
what if it's a dub by the Mighty Morphin Cast? Kinda
Oh,
like
No.
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 Here's most likely what's going to happen, because Shout Factory is also the people who handle the Power Rangers DVD releases.
Yeah, they
And
do.
didn't they handle what was it? Didn't they handle
They
7?
no,
Didn't
they handled one of my personal favorite series actually, and I'm so glad. And the final piece of this trilogy is coming soon, but by Shout Factory, baby.
Ah.
Yeah, Shout Factory did Ultra 7 as well, so they were
But
actually.
so what I'm wondering is if they're gonna do a dual pack DVD where it's going to have Mighty Morphin and Zoo Ranger on it.
That would be
It would be interesting to see.
I see that having more legal, some copyright problems to get past.
I don't know about that.
But
Yeah.
still, what's interesting of having, like, we were just talking about, like, with Bandai of America and, you know, with different stuff, with stuff from Japan coming over to America. So I'm thinking to have Zoo Ranger coming over by Shout Factory, who also were the same people who actually did bring over Ultra 7, which I just remembered about that. That's a really cool thing to have them bringing that over, which may mean, if that's successful, that in the future, maybe that means they will bring other Sentai shows subbed and be able to bring them into America, which may actually increase the fan base of Sentai and Power Rangers in the
Power
US. This may
Ranger,
be the start of something really big.
Blade.
Power Rider.
Blade. Shout Factory, if you're watching this, bring me sub DVDs of Blade. Please.
Bring me some DVDs of Double, please, please. For the
I
love
want
of
Kiva.
God.
They just released a double Blu-ray.
Yeah. The thing is with Blade, the best they can do is DVD
Yeah.
Yeah.
without doing going and remastering some stuff, which I don't think they want to do.
No.
There are Blade DVDs.
Random Common Rider.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So
All right, so
Wait, yeah.
we're kind of getting close to hitting our hour and 30-minute mark here. So I think.
Wrap
Does
this
anyone
whole
else
thing
have
up.
anything else that they want to say before we do our wonderful shameless plugs?
shameless plug.
I think it would be stupid for them not to adapt Gaim. It's far-fetched, but I think it should happen, and I would love to see children with Gaim toys.
Stop it. Oh man, now I need to make a friend of mine watch this part because.
Oh God.
My final words on this are: don't. Bandai of America still has its own thing. Don't don't just write them off because oh cheaper plastic.
Yeah.
I still think that they have their own thing going with them.
Yeah.
And one quick not plug, but request. If anyone is selling a Lightspeed Megazord and a Max Solar Zord, I will buy that off you.
I just need the Solar Zord. So.
Yeah, the Super Train Megazord is quite lonely, if you know what I mean.
Put the
in Zenith Carrier Zord because they need their home.
Tokyo Russia's.
No, we're not doing Trainception.
You have to.
A train within a train within a train within a train.
Oh God!
But then leads back to the train in the beginning. Done.
Anyway.
No, I'm already formulating how to make a religion out of the super train.
Oh God!
Oh God!
Let it be done. Let it be done.
All right, Thomas. What's your final thoughts on this?
Well, essentially, what I'm thinking is that to sum up everything, if I'm summing up everything correctly, it's that there are pros and cons, sort of like how we did with our Super Sentai versus Power Rangers podcast. Yes, Bandai of America does have more kind of quote-unquote downgraded toys, but both of them have their merits and their cons, though Super Sentai or Bandai of America, sorry. Bandai of America doesn't have very many cons to it, besides the fact that they're pretty darn expensive to import. Like, just to give a slight example, the double driver that I'm going to be getting soon is
Bandai of Japan is more expensive.
Bandai Japan. Gosh darn it! This is what happens when my brain talks endlessly for an hour and a half.
Welcome to reality.
Yes. Anyways, though, Bandai of Japan, like, for example, the double driver I'm going to be getting from Bandai of Japan soon, I'm going to be getting it from CS Toys, so if Mr. S is going to be watching soon, you're going to be getting an order very soon for that thing. Teehee. But, that thing is a really high cost to ship pretty quickly, $85 to $105 from minimum to max. So it's really expensive to import these things. But at the same time, it just all depends if it's worth it. If it's more worth it to you to just go to the store and spend $30 on a Samurai Megazord but get more cheaper quality plastic and kind of the Zord Builder system, or if it's more worth it to wait a couple weeks and spend $85 to $100 on the Japanese Shinkano like I did and get, really, for me, a really awesome toy that I still play with to this day, years later. It all just depends on personal preference, and if you think the cheapness of the other one is worth it, like what Dylan thinks here, it's worth it. And then on the other side, if you think the higher quality plastic is worth the price, then go for it yourself. But both of them have their pros and cons and their merits and their idiosyncrasies, for lack of a better word. But it just all depends, and whatever the case is, I just think the fact that we have these toys and that we're able to collect so many of these things, and that I don't even know how to explain it, but just being able to collect these things is a really cool thing, that we're able to get so into this and to be able to have such a cool fandom and a community because of the toys and the things that we collect, whether we collect Bandai of America or Bandai of Japan. That it unites us either way. It doesn't divide us, it just unites us more.
Okay.
Sorry for my long-winded speech. Probably didn't make very much sense, but screw logic.
I think, I'll sum up what you said, and then I'll say my bit. Pretty much, he says, it's your own personal preference. If you like the way the Bandai of America is making the toys, go that route. If you like the way Bandai of Japan makes their toys, go that route. None of us are bashing either or. My opinion of it is pretty much, what I just put in a nutshell from Thomas. If you like the Bandai of America way that they're going with the Zord Builder, which is to at least some degree in my head is actually a pretty cool thing, because once again I can have a Triceratops leg and a dragon leg on Legendary Megazord, and you can't stop me
because screw logic.
So it's a pretty cool thing. But if you like one over the other, that is fine. All right, time for our shameless plugs. We love this bit. First off, shout out to JC Calloway and Levinston Rogers for actually giving me some material to go on and for talking with me while I do this. Once again, I do the product reviews. I hope you watch them. It would be awesome. So we're going to start in reverse again. Dylan, do you have any shameless plug that you want to do?
No, I don't this time.
Noah.
I do at this point. So if you live in the Puget Sound area, Redmond, Seattle, Kirkland, Bellevue, Everett, all that sort of stuff. Basically, Washington State. Me and my pops, we run a nice old IT business. We are self-owned. We do not charge up to wazoo, and we definitely do not steal any sensitive data off your computers after we fix it, unlike some other companies. If you have problems with your computer, it could be as simple as it's running slow to, oh God, my hard drive's on fire, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it.
My drive is on fire!
I'm doing a plug here. You can reach us via our website, www.tweaksquad.com, or no, .net, I'm sorry. Or you can email us at tweaksquad@outlook.com.
Thomas, be sure to put that information in the description.
I will give you links and all that.
Of course. I'll put that in the description. And then lastly for me, a bit of a disappointment because I did say last podcast that I was working on my episode for the Toku Buster. Well, because of a few things that have been going on, I've had a little bit of delay in really getting that episode out, mainly because you guys are going to call me crazy, but I'm seriously afraid that my voice is not going to sound very good and that I'm not going to be really very good enough, and it's just more of a confidence problem for me. And the fact that I'm just having trouble really getting all of the clips and getting everything set, because I'm new with this thing. I've never done this thing before, and I don't know exactly what style I want to go off of. So it's maybe going to take a little bit to get this thing started up and ready, but hopefully in the coming couple of weeks, hopefully next week, hopefully, I will have my double review up, and everything will be set to go, and all the schedule to go off of, and, you know, all the jazz that's going to be going on. But either way, to keep with updates on that, checking the links below for Toku Buster, the blogs, the YouTube channel, the Tumblr, the Shabam, and everything like that. Also, I also forgot to say, I have a DeviantArt page as well. I've made some new wallpapers for Kamen Rider Double, because I've been on a double fix, so check the description below for my DeviantArt. No, not Obsession. Shut up, CJ.
Noah, I think you were about to say something.
No, we're good.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for my plugs. Just go to DeviantArt page. You can watch me there and see all the different wallpapers I've made. And that's pretty much it for what I have. So, anyways, CJ, you want to close us out?
Well, with everything said, I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. Once again, I am CJ Dellinger with Volt, Dylan, and Thomas. And I hope you have enjoyed yourself. You all have a good evening. We are out.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Camera off.
I can still see you.
Screw logic.